Ask Tom on Home Show.
Tanya from Halifax, Nova Scotia, has a question about retrofitting ventilation.
Well, she lives in this 1.5-story home built in the 1940s, and it has kind of an interesting history to it, Tom. Tanya writes, it's considered a 6-room prefab built to house military members during the war. The dormer on the upstairs is a bathroom. Let me bring that picture back up. Here's the picture. That's the upstairs bathroom in the back. And he said, we have hot water baseboard heat running through the crawl spaces. The attic is only about 3 feet deep, and the house has no overhang for soffits. A roofing contractor recommends ridge vents, but without intake, I'm worried they'll create negative pressure. Do you think my house is right for a ridge vent, or maybe a hot roof design, getting the underside insulated with spray foam? What are your thoughts on this, Tom?
This is my thoughts on it. First off, it looks like a barracks. It looks like the soldiers had to go upstairs to go to the bathroom. It looks very typical Army life. I love it.
Change their mind.
I love it. Yeah, and you put it right over where everybody's sleeping. It's perfect design for the Army. Okay, so
actually, the thing that stuck out to me on this house, honest to God, is the vinyl siding. I think that's something you don't see a lot of around these parts anymore.
Well, not down here in Houston, no. You're not going to see it. But that was not the original. Under there was the old clapboard, I'm sure, that they used up north for years. I'm going back to its history on this. But the reason I'm going back on history, Charlie, is you always hear me say, test of time. What works? Is it broken? Do you need to fix it? In this case, this thing's been here since the 40s. Why change any of the design of it at all? You can make it more efficient, put better windows in, better heating system in. There's certain things you can do, but to try to make this house with a ventilation system that would work in a new designed home today, whether it's Nova Scotia or Houston, Texas for that matter, that's different. But when you have the older homes, if it works, leave it like it is. Don't try to add to it and don't try to change it, because obviously that closed attic is working just fine for them. If you need to add a little more insulation up there and you have some access to it, fine. But don't start spraying foams. Don't start cutting holes. Don't start redoing what doesn't need to be redone. And I love the building because of the barracks aspect of it, because it just reminds me of some other parts of my life. And I think it's kind of a cool little house.
Yeah. There are some things, though, that you would update in a house. I mean, for instance, the electrical system probably needs to be updated.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Things like that.
Yeah. No, you're right. You redo kitchens, you redo bathrooms. Hopefully you don't have the old toilet with the thing hanging down to pull on. But as far as the structure, the way it was designed, all the years it's worked, and we're talking about the attic part, we're talking what I call the building envelope. And that is what protects the inside from the outside. This thing has proven itself. If you tried to put a vapor barrier or moisture barriers and stuff, you couldn't do the whole picture right. So don't do parts and pieces, because it's going to make it even worse. Just leave it alone and let it keep doing what it's been doing. I think it's fine. If you want a super energy efficient house that you can heat with a candle and cool with an ice cube, then rip it down and start from scratch, because the whole thing has to be rethought. But don't try to do it with an older home. You want the roof to last, you want it to protect, you don't want icicles forming in the attic. I mean, there's certain things, and this house obviously hasn't had those problems, and that's good. So there's certain things you want to fix if it's broken, but this one's not broken.
So no to the ridge vent.
No to the ridge vent, no to putting holes in it, because she's right. She said, if you can't have intake, how can you have exhaust? Charlie, that was a perfect comment. And then she went in, well, maybe I should spray foam. No, just leave it the way it is because it works. And don't start putting holes and stuff in it. Yeah.
It ain't broke. Don't, yeah. And look at it this way. One day somebody will come along and say, man, this is exactly the way they built it. It probably, be collectible someday.
And it'll be another 100 years from now.
Right.
And then someday he'll say, we need firewood. Tear that old house down and we'll start burning it.
Truer story never said. Hey, you know what else is true? If you go ahead and click on that Ask Tom button there on our homepage and send in your questions like I showed a second ago here, you can go ahead and fill out the form, send us pictures, whatever you need to do. Tom loves to answer questions, and so we do. We post a new one every day at HomeShowRadio.com. Our Facebook page and our YouTube channel, where you'll find hundreds of questions and answers and all kinds of projects to help you around your house.